Alright, this week we're going to make holiday appetizers. 3 different ones, great for the holidays, and easy to make. The first one we're going to do is a Vidalia onion dip. This is really good. Now you got to take your onion and thinly slice the pieces. And of course you want it to be a Vidalia onion because you don't want it too strong. Now after making this, even though I've got them in small strips like that, for dipping purposes I might have maybe cut them in half just to make it a little easier to dip. But to that you're going to add a cup of mozzarella cheese and a cup of cheddar, or if you don't have it, a cup of mixed like I had to do. Not a biggie. And to it I threw in a 1/4 cup-ish of Parmesan cheese. So we're going to mix all that together before we put in our wet ingredients. But to that we're going to add a cup of mayo, which I kind of didn't have quite a cup. And it's also a cup of sour cream. So I think I put a little extra sour cream in to balance it out a bit. Worked out fine. 1 to 2 tablespoons or teaspoons of Worcestershire, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of hot sauce, depending on your preference, of course. Maybe you like it a little hotter, maybe not. Maybe a little more Worcestershire or not. Just depends. And now we're going to mix all that up, and that is pretty well our dip. And of course it's got to go in the oven. Now we need something to dip with it. So I got this little baguette loaf, not very big at all, and I cut enough pieces out of the loaf that I thought was enough for the group that I had. Turns out I could have just cut the whole loaf and that wouldn't have lasted the night either. Go on to a baking sheet. We're going to line it with parchment paper, of course. And we're going to lay all the slices onto the sheet. Of course, you can see I probably could have fit the whole loaf on that. If I had a bigger sheet, I'm sure I could have. Now, of course, we're going to put some garlic butter on top, so 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter melted in the microwave. And then a teaspoon of minced garlic. And just for a little bit of color, I threw in a teaspoon of parsley. Okay, we'll mix all this together. And then taking a pastry brush, we're going to brush all of that butter onto the bread. Use it all. There's no point having any leftovers at all. So if you end up brushing them all and there's a little bit left over, find a way to finish off the little bit left. You'll thank yourself for it later. And when we're done, here we go. A beautiful dip out of the oven, nice and warm, and some baguettes to dip with. So now we're going to make number 2, a meat and cheese tray. This is real simple, basic stuff. 3 types of meat: salami, kielbasa, and a spicy kielbasa. And we're going to slice each one of those up right now. I got to take the skin off the salami because I just don't like having a fight with it. Of course, onto the kielbasa, same thing. Last but not least, the spicy kielbasa, because you got to have a little bit of kick somewhere. And you'll like this by the time it's done. Now we'll put that aside. Onto the cheese. Unfortunately, I only had 2 different kinds of cheese. Usually I try for 3 or 4, but you work with what you got. So I've got cheddar and mozzarella. Well, that's what we're having. That's a fairly big block, so we're going to carefully slice a bunch of the cheese. And then we're going to slice them in half because, we want them cracker size. And we'll set those aside. And we're almost done. We got the mozzarella we'll do the exact same thing with. Slice her up, cut her in half, and set it aside. Of course, the last thing for the platter we're going to need is crackers. So I have the fake no-name kind of Ritz crackers, Ventia crackers, and Breton crackers. And once again, that's what I got to work with. If you got other kinds that you like, use them. So here's our assembly. You got to kind of think it through, think of what you got. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it depends on the platter you're using. It depends on the crackers and the different cheeses you've got, how you want to lay them out. So I try to visualize it. So there's our 3 sets of crackers in the middle, cheese on both sides, and the 3 different types of meat on both sides. And there you go. That looks kind of yummy. Our third appetizer is bacon wrapped chicken bites. Now these are really good. You can't go wrong with bacon and chicken, and bacon and chicken together. So start out with 3 chicken breasts, and we're going to chop them up into rough 1-inch size pieces. Those are our bites. They don't have to be perfect, but you want them to be at least a decent size because you are going to wrap bacon with them. So you don't want them super small, but you don't want them super big either because they do need to bake. So the 1-inch piece seems to work out just about right. There we go. They're all roughly about the same. We'll get them in a pie tin and we'll set them aside because now it's time to start wrapping. There's our bacon. It is bacon slices, cut in half so that you've only got a half a slice per piece of chicken you're going to roll. So there's our chicken and there's our bacon, and not hard to wrap it. 1, 2, 3, and around we go. And always put the seam side down. But we're going to also, when we're done this, put some toothpicks on them. So just wrap them all carefully, seam side down when you're done, and just put them aside. Here they are once they're all done. Now you're going to take each one and poke them with a toothpick. That's going to keep them from falling apart when they go in the oven. So the topping we're going to use is 1 cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of chili powder, and a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of paprika, come on, let's go. And a teaspoon of garlic powder, and lastly a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You want a little more spice, you put a little more in. We're going to mix all that up because that's going to coat all of our chicken. Oh yeah, and if you want a little bit of pepper, throw about a teaspoon or so of pepper in too. So now that we've got our mix, let's bring the chicken back in. Line the baking sheet with parchment paper. So here we go. You keep the toothpicks on, just watch you don't poke yourself. And we're going to coat each one by one, get her in the bowl, put all that nice brown sugar mix on, and put it into the pan that's going in the oven. And when we're done, it should look like that. Now into the oven, 25 minutes. Flip, and another 10 minutes, and you're good to go. Well, that was fun, and I really hope you try these at home. If you do, let me know how you liked them. Leave me a comment below. I'd sure like to know. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have, thank you very much. Ring the bell. That'll let you know the next time I upload a video. Give me a thumbs up, a like. I'd sure like that too. Feel free to share this and any other video. So until next time, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you. Bye-bye.